waited quite a while.
Years and years and years, right?
Yeah, my daughter has not been here yet because we're trying. That's why
we're trying to do it legally.
Legally,
yes.
Because it's gonna be a big slap on my face and other people's faces. You know, if somebody just come and cross the border. So.
Yeah, our problem is we don't have enough laws. I mean, some laws we don't even enforce. Immigration's a big one. And we have our own federal government suing the state of Arizona.
Yeah,
because they want to enforce immigration.
There's a lot of laws there that's not being implemented. And I thought, my gosh, does this other candidates really understand what are the immigration laws that's not being implemented right now? There's a lot there.
Yeah, I'm for building the fence.
Yeah, well,
I mean, there's a shovel-ready job. You're talking about shovel-ready jobs, let's build the fence. And I often say, you know, if they say fences don't work, let's take the fence down around the White House. The fences don't work. Let's see how long that lasts. Build the fence, enforce it, patrol it, and we have to do that. And now we have 13 million people here illegally. We've got to get rid of the magnet that's bringing them here. And that's jobs. And that's unscrupulous employers who are trying to save some money by bringing someone here. Was that for me? Thanks.
No.
By bringing him here illegally. We had that problem in Iowa. I was in Marshalltown a couple weeks ago, and I sat down with a school teacher, high school teacher in Marshalltown. She said 80% of her class, 80% in Marshalltown is Hispanic.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it's Hispanic, I have nothing wrong with legal immigration.
Yeah.
She said at least half of it is they're here illegally, and most of them can't speak English. Now, I said if I had a child in that class, the other 20%, I would be upset. I said, doesn't that hold your class back? She said, of course it does. I said, well, local officials, don't you call the sheriff? She said, yeah. I don't care. And the sheriff, you get the illegal aliens, and they call ICE, Immigration and Customs, federal agency, right? Yeah. ICE doesn't do anything. They turned a blind eye. So the sheriff and the local law officials have given up. Postville has immigration problems as well. So we need to get rid of, we need to come down hard. First of all, we need to enforce the laws that are on the books, and the federal government does need to do something about this, and we do need to punish employers who knowingly are employing illegal immigrants, and I think they will self-deport. Most of them will self-deport. But if I'm in Washington, I'll pledge to you that not one of your tax dollars should go to the welfare, the education, and the health care of someone here illegally. I mean, I have empathy for people. You know, these are some crappy jobs these people work, okay? But illegal is illegal. Well, they're trying to provide for their families. I can appreciate that. But you came here legally. Your daughter's still waiting to come here legally. And I think we need to streamline the legal immigration process so somebody doesn't have... I mean, how many years did you wait, Emma?
When I came here, probably about 2 years.
2 years. Now your daughter's been waiting...
20 years.
20 years. You know, I mean, come on, we got to streamline this process so people can come here.
Because they said we're very, very low down the line, and I said, well, but it's okay if I let her pass through Mexico and just cross the border, you know?
Let me see if I have this right. You're here illegal, you can vote, you can get free health care, your kids can get a free education, correct?
You get a tax.
And there's a lot.
Why would you leave? Are you kidding me? I mean, I always say we've lost our collective sanity. I mean, we were broke.
Don't know.
And we're supporting 13 million people. Yes.
So if step one would be to close the border and enforce the laws as they exist as far as preventing illegal immigration, even having then done that and trying to enforce the laws on employers, which is already attempted to be done, you have whole groups of people, communities even, where some are illegal and some are legal in the same families even. So all of them don't necessarily have to have jobs because they can support each other. And these communities of people, they're already accustomed to living in the shadows. Their whole lives, they've grown accustomed to avoiding law enforcement. So it's just not possible to round up how many million Koreans that are already hiding and are going to continue.
Right, that's why I said we have to try it.
There's no way to do it.
We have to try it, the job.
I want to get the big guy.
Self-support. When there's no jobs there, if you're here illegal.
That's why it's not being
like 4 people in the family and 2 of them are legal and 2 of them are illegal and can do the job and are supporting each other.
Sure, I know that. But I know you're not.
They're here illegally. To me, it's illegal is illegal. I have empathy for family situations. I have empathy for a lot of
empathy about it, but you're not going to be able to find them.
I mean, there's not a perfect solution. Once again, where have the politicians been? Ronald Reagan in 80 Back then, there was an amnesty program as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the last time we have to do this. And then we're building a fence, and we're getting serious about this. They didn't do anything.
But if there's some plan, I'd like to be looking at it and thinking, okay, is this even possible?
So this is like supposed to
They're
be
not gonna show up, so it's not even, like,
we have to get rid of the magnet. That's the job. Thanks very much for coming. Thanks very much for coming.
That's all right. Because I noticed when you watch those TV programs,
Yes.
dramas,
calling them
they emphasize
calling them illegal immigrants is playing into what they want.
Yeah.
They're illegal aliens. That's what it is in the books. That's what they are. They're trying to placate them as they're immigrants.
Undocumented immigrants.
Okay, now, the schools, a majority of them won't report it. Now they're getting, our tax dollars are going to pay for kids that are here legally. I don't care if they were born here or not. That their parents weren't born here, they weren't citizens, they're not.
I assume they're giving the employees
Then,
free amnesty here.
they get sick, they go to the hospital. Hospitals can't report them either, but they have to treat them. That's why our insurance is up so
I don't mind.
Okay, now, let me finish, please. Now, they say, well, it's so expensive to deport, you know, they're doing jobs nobody wants. Okay, after 32 people were deported in Marshalltown, there were 400 people there the next day to apply for those 32 jobs, and none of them were immigrants. Now, here's how you do it. They have nice new cars they're driving around. I always see them driving in nice new cars. They're living in houses. People are loaning them money. Seize that property because it was illegally obtained. And sell that. So then it's self-deporting, self-funding to deport them. And you don't deport them over the border in Brownsville or Tijuana. You deport them in the southern border of Mexico. So then at least they have to pay to get back.
We just need to get serious about this. We all would agree we're not serious at all.
My dad came here from Germany in 1957. He had to learn 10,000 words. He had to have a sponsor, and he had to have a job, and he had 6 months to do it in. That's still the law if you cross an ocean, but if you cross a river, it doesn't matter. And then when you go, when Iowa, when you call up government agencies and you have to listen to in Spanish before English, why are we even doing that?
Balkanization.
They're not doing it. They're not doing it in other languages.
I think we should make English the official language.
Exactly.
I mean, we're not doing anybody a favor saying you can speak Spanish and you're going to be successful in this country. That is not true.
Right. Yeah.
That's not doing anybody any favors. Great. All great points. Yes, sir.
I do have a couple questions, but I'd like to make a couple comments, and you can feed off of them or ignore them, whatever. You know, it's what you want to do. But one, going back to the Marshalltown, I'd be very surprised if Ted, the sheriff down there, made any calls to ICE, because he's probably the most liberal sheriff in the whole state.
I don't know.
I do.
Keep the officials.
I do. Two, the people that are working down there are primarily come to work in the packing plant. I worked in the Tama packing plant, which isn't Swift's, but I made more money in 1977 than what these guys are getting hired on for at Swift's today. With our inflation, all right, that's one of the big problems, which kind of leads me into my real question is, what specifically would you do to eliminate or curtail the ability to inflate and destroy our monetary system?
Which is being done. Back to your previous point, and I'll get to that one. Are we not subsidizing these big meat packers? Because our tax dollars are going for education, healthcare, welfare of people that they're hiring very cheaply. We're subsidizing the huge packing industry, and I'm against subsidization of them. I don't get subsidized. Probably a lot of you guys don't get subsidized. He doesn't get subsidized if you need it. Thank you. You get subsidized? I don't get subsidized.
You don't
here, I'm your best supporter, your biggest fan. And they know, most of these guys know, they don't want me to start talking.
All right.
I'm completely on your side.
But yet the Federal Reserve is out of control, I think. And they're artificially holding down interest rates. They're printing money. We all agree with that. Because why? Because our Congress can't get their act together. If we didn't have $1 billion deficit, they wouldn't be printing money. So I mean, the Federal Reserve formed in 1913, I believe. It's a private bank, okay, and its charter was to have a strong dollar policy. I think we should do an audit them and see where what they're doing and where the money's going. I mean, it's too private. Some people want to abolish it. I'm a finance major at college. I'm not quite. I can say I don't know at all. You may know more than I know about it. I don't quite know how.
Well, the Constitution doesn't talk about a Fed, a private bank running our monetary system.
It just says the federal government is coin money.
So
yes, I don't know what exactly would happen if we abolished the Fed. I really don't. But I want to study more about the Fed. If I'm in Congress, it's something I'd be absolutely very interested in.
I know a guy out there who can help you with a lot of stuff on the Fed. One call.
Oh, well, yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He knows a lot about it. Whoever, right here.
I've got a question now. Your competitor was here to speak to us a week ago. We know that he's an attorney, and that's his business background. He's an attorney. And you mentioned a little bit about, could you elaborate on your business background and what your experiences? Tell us what basically we've got to choose between two people, and why do you think you'd be a better choice?
The question was, my opponent's an attorney, and I'm a job creator, a businessman, so Dan asked, can I expand on, I guess, my business background?
Yes.
It goes all the way back to, I went to Lourdes College, I'm a finance major, so I probably should know more about the Fed inside and out, but I don't. And I got a master's degree in business from the University of Dubuque. I've always wanted to be a businessman my whole life. I went to work right out of college at a company called Cedar Systems, and they were a leading provider nationwide of data processing systems to medical groups. They ended up going public on the NASDAQ stock exchange. So I feel like I got a free PhD in the real world there. Then I went to a company called Eagle Point Software. I was the 5th employee. And I went there if they would make me president. So I was the president of that company, and they make me an owner. So I was an owner. And in 5 years, we grew from 5 employees to 350 employees. And our payroll, Dan, went from $100,000 a year to $10 million a year over a 5-year period. I was the 1994 Iowa Entrepreneur of the Year in high tech. Inc. 500, that national magazine, if you've heard of Inc. 500, Inc. magazine, I mean, we were an Inc. 500 company 3 times. That means we're the 500 fastest growing companies in the United States of America 3 times. Fast Letter 100, we made that 4 times. Fast Company, we made that 5 times. These are all honors for being high growing companies. That company went public on the NASDAQ stock exchange. Then we did a reverse leverage buyout, and I took a couple of the divisions that were the solid years, and I said, I'll buy these from the public company and take them private. So that's my company today, is Digital Canal. It's the 2 solid years. So hopefully we made them into kind of a silk purse. Then I also do real estate development, where we buy farmland or whatever and put in roads, the infrastructure, build homes on it, and we've done that in Dubuque for the last 5 years. So that's my business background. My whole life has been basic. I'm a businessman. I'm a career businessman. So I haven't read about this stuff in books on how to create jobs or what we do or don't need to do. I've lived it every day. I've had the federal government come in. We were growing so fast, they sent the Department of Labor in. And they audited our company not once but twice. And they said, hey, based on a 1934 labor law, 1934, that's the Depression. Based on that law, you have to you have to have your salespeople punch a time clock. We said, wait a minute, they're making like 4 times the national average income. They're college degree, and you want them to punch a time clock? Yeah, you got to punch a time clock and pay them overtime. So if they're at home and and these people want to make money and they want to do extra work, we got to say, nope, you have to go home. The bell went off, the whistle went off, you have to go home. They said, well, what at night at home we want to learn the product more to enhance ourselves. Can't do it. Can't do it because then we have to pay you overtime. So I mean, we've had this kind of, the EPA, Department of Labor, all these ridiculous things happen to us. You ask any business owner, saying. We need to, I say it's kind of simple. Let an entrepreneur chase his dreams. That'll get the economy going. Get off of his back and out of his back pocket. We've got the finest entrepreneurs in the world in the United States of America. Just get off their back. This thing will take care of itself. Okay, get rid of the rate, not all of them. Reduce regulations, reduce. Our corporate tax rate's the highest in the world now. Japan was highest. They figured it out. They lowered their tax rate. Go look up the Economic Freedom Index. And where those countries that have the highest economic freedom have the lowest unemployment rate. America was always in the top 3 worldwide, economic freedom. That's a freedom to do business. Today, we're 10th and heading down. Obama's reelected, we won't even be in the top 10 anymore. So unemployment's high, GDP growth is low because our economic freedom is being eroded by government and more government. So that gives you a little bit about my background in business. I think we need more business people. We have 218 lawyers in Congress right now. 218 people who were trained on how to redistribute wealth via lawsuits. Okay, and I just think the way, I know my opponent has run from his background. When we've been on the same stage, he says that he's a small business consultant. Often he says that. And I have replied, you know, over 30 years, we've called lawyers a lot of things. Small business consultant is one. Okay, so the way a lawyer thinks and the way a job creator thinks are two different things. 218 of them in Congress. I think we need more real people that have to operate in the real world in Congress to be better off. Yes, sir.
Just two couple things. Number one, when you look at this war on the, or this trying to divide us by economic status.
Class warfare?
Yeah, class warfare. Two things. Most of the people making $250K to $1 million or whatever are actually small businesses.
Yeah.
Because most small businesses are basically LLCs and that sort of thing.
Subchapter.
You know, and that would triple it. You know, and yet I don't see that being defended the way it needs to. And then just kind of running it off, one other statement. I've been pretty active in kind of taking straw polls amongst my acquaintances that are independents, because it drives me nuts to have this concept that somehow independents are moderate, somehow halfway between big government and the Constitution. You know, and they aren't. Most of the independents I know that do not claim allegiance to either party are basically sick and tired of both. They're sick and tired of the Republican rhinos, and they're sick and tired of the Democrat rhinos. You know, and I just want to hear the comments on it.
Well, I always talk about if we don't, that's why part of my plan is to make permanent the Bush tax cut. Because if they ever expire, it's going to be the largest tax increase in the history of the world, okay, and it's going to be mainly on small job creators. I mentioned it earlier tonight, so I talk about it at least.
I think of senior citizens too.
Oh, yeah.
What is our investment in order for us to survive as senior citizens? What are we trying to survive on? And it's very difficult these days.
Great point. Yes. And your second?
The second was the moderates.
Oh, yes. The number one registration in the first district is independent, no party. That's the number one registration. And a lot of people think, well, you know, after the primary, a candidate should do what? Move to the middle, become a wishy-washy rhino. And I have consistently said, if I'm the nominee, I'm not changing. I know what I believe in, they're conservative principles, because I agree with what this gentleman said. I don't believe your average independent voter in eastern Iowa, this is in San Francisco, is a relatively conservative person. And they are very sick and tired of the stuff that's going on in Washington. They are really sick of it. And I think people are looking for authenticity. They're looking for somebody that's genuine. Somebody that can say, I don't know it all. So I'm going to go there and try my best. And they're not looking for career politicians. I think independents particularly are sick and tired of career politicians. And I think they're conservative. I agree with you. So you know, your straw polls, is that what your straw polls are?
It's unscientific, but it seems to be a very common theme.
Yes.
Because they go, I'm not a Republican, I think they're all crooks.
I believe in personal responsibility. I believe in free markets. I'm pro-life. I believe in constitutionally limited government, and I believe in fiscal sanity. That's the 5 cornerstones of my campaign. I'm not going to change those. If I'm the nominee, I'll go out there any day of the week with a whole room full of independents. independence, and we'll talk about those issues, and I think I'd do just fine with them. I know I would. And I also don't think, I think independents are looking for real people. I don't know who's next. Who's been having their...
I think he's next.
Okay.
So, I have two things. One, again, on disability. If you're 65 and older, you get about 150 different companies to choose from for gap insurance and stuff like that. If you're under 65, you get one, and you're told you're going to take that. What about the Americans with Disabilities Act? That actually violates the Americans with Disabilities Act as far as accessibility. And then also...
First time I heard that, interesting concept.
Also, I know DDA laws. And also it's age discrimination as well. When I'm forced to be on this program, but I don't get the same benefits that the elderly get because I'm not old enough, but I'm forced to be on this. Okay?
Those are good points.
Now, and then also, are you prepared to have someone check up on your mom if you get elected?
Well, I've never been asked that. She's right there. My wife. Right.
Because you said, family...
Aaron's a homemaker,
and so... And wanted to make sure you had something in line just to, rather than...
In 7 months, I've never ever been asked that. That's very nice of you. Thanks for that question.
Well, when you debate, which by the way I really appreciated because both of you were really positive. You didn't go into this plan. That was the greatest debate I think I've ever seen.
Excellent. I enjoyed it.
You mentioned just what you mentioned here. You said, instead of things being moved to the left, we got to move them to the right. And I said to my wife, I said, wow, does he understand the dialectic? Do you? You know what I'm talking about? That's the communist weapon. Their primary weapon is the dialectical materialism. I just wondered if you...
No, I've never, no.
Well, their whole point of that is they go off here to the left and they create a gigantic disturbance. And then they say, then there will be a reaction, there will be the reactionary forces, and then we will compromise in the middle of that and move middle left. And so what you have to do to be able to counteract that is to figure out how to create some gigantic move to the right, and they scream and holler, and you say, okay, we'll compromise here again. And I think one of the biggest things that we've had in the past, 20 years ago, I'm not sure, was Randall Terry, when he went around the country. Terry? No, you said, the other day you said Randall Terry. Anyway, when he went around protesting abortion clinics, and that was a big, I think that was a big thing, moved the center right.
And the center has moved right in that issue. I've heard of that.
Right, Janet here.
Oh, yes.
Janet.
Hello. Janet.
This goes way back to immigration.
Maybe speak up so everybody can hear as loud as you can.
What is your view on the constitutionality of anchor babies, and what would you do about it?
I personally think, and from what I've heard from people that know the